Hi, I'm Marcus Morrison, CEO and Director of Zagga. Zagga has launched New Zealand's first invoice finance-based investment fund, known as the Peer-to-Peer Factoring Fund. We've launched this in conjunction with Lock Finance, who, like us, are a 100% New Zealand-owned business, with 130 years of experience in providing working capital for New Zealand businesses. We've created this investment product to serve the needs of SMEs requiring steady cash flow while creating an opportunity to invest in a secured fund with solid returns. Invoice finance, also known as invoice factoring, is a mechanism for businesses to help steady their cash flow, where the business has raised an invoice for products and services and then borrows against these invoices. This allows them to continue operating uninterrupted without hindering payments to their staff, their own creditors, or any capital payments required. To show how this works, I'm going to walk you through one fund. However, there will be other funds offered. In this example, the Peer-to-Peer Factoring Fund consists of a total pool of $500,000, raised from investors through the Zagga platform. This fund is then managed by Lock Finance and loaned out to credit-worthy businesses for invoice finance who are already part of the borrowing pool. Investors can choose to invest in a portion of the total pool or the entire pool until it becomes fully funded. The minimum investment is $1,000. This $500,000 investment, including each individual portion, is fixed for 6 months, after which time the capital is paid back to each investor. Across the year, investors will receive monthly returns at a rate of 6.5% interest per annum. So how does this look in practice? The business requests a loan from Lock Finance to cover the payments from their debtors. Lock Finance will conduct a credit assessment on the business who is borrowing against their invoices, as well as on the invoices themselves, to understand any risks. Lock Finance will also add in personal guarantees against the borrowers for additional security. Funds from Zagga investors are then loaned out to the business along with Lock's other funding. From the time Lock Finance lends money to a borrower, they then own that borrower's invoices as security, and all client debtors pay Lock Finance directly. As mentioned, throughout the year, each investor will be paid monthly at a rate of 6.5% interest per annum. Also, each month, each investor will be emailed updates on how the fund is performing, in line with the information I'll show you shortly. The purpose of a pool is to create diversity and to decrease the overall risk. The businesses who are borrowing these funds are existing clients of Lock Finance and have been for a period of 3.5 years. The average borrowing time for an individual invoice is 24 days. And a single borrower only makes up a maximum of 29% of the total pool. And the borrower's largest individual debtor only makes up a maximum of 7% of the pool's total debtors. Each borrower is diversified across a number of different industries, and then borrowers are further diversified regionally right across the country. Investors in the Zagga fund are only exposed to an absolute maximum of 60% of the principal and unpaid interest. In other words, it's a maximum LVR of 60%. Lock Finance will only lend up to 80% or usually less of a borrower's invoice. This creates at least 20% risk buffer for investors. Lock Finance will then take the first 20% of risk against each borrower in the pool. In the example on screen, you can see current real performance of the fund. You'll see the blue line highlights the total value of the invoices the fund is secured against. The orange line shows the maximum of 80% which could be borrowed against those invoices. The grey line then shows the maximum amount that can actually be invested by Zagga investors. This shows a total of at least 40% risk buffer for investors against each borrower in the pool. While this means the LVR to investors is a maximum of 60% and the security buffer will be at least 40%, investors will always earn a 6.5% per annum return, even when the risk profile is lower, as is often the case. For example, in this current pool, the actual LVR is 35%. Zagga will be releasing these funds to investors in stages, and once fully committed, the opportunity will end. If you'd like to know more about investing in the Peer-to-Peer Factoring Fund, give the team a call on 0800 286 286, or you can find our contact details on the website at zagga.co.nz.